And first of all, sorry for a slight delay. So we'll start our discussions, guys. Yesterday we have spent some very good time on discussion about a brilliant topic known as value of supply. Today we'll spend some good time first on discussion about a fantastic topic known as place of supply, and post that we'll also talk and discuss about another very interesting topic known as TDS and TCS. One such small interesting topic, but which keep coming in the exam so many times for about 4 to 6 marks. And there were a couple of occasions where this topic has come in the exam for 8 marks also. So without any delay, let's start our discussion. And I hope you all are ready, guys. Everybody, I'm expecting a quick yes from everyone so that I can start off our discussions. Perfect. Brilliant. That is what I want. Brilliant, guys. Come on, let's start. So friends, let me share the screen first. Rahul, is the screen visible? Can you please confirm?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you. So friends, first of all, before I proceed further, the first and foremost thing what we'll do is let's take 2 minutes of our time and quickly revise what we have done with respect to value of supply. We discussed that with respect to value of supply, we have got an interesting section 15, and also a few valuation rules, rule 27 to rule 35. What is section 15, guys? 15.1 says value should always mean transaction value, which refers to price paid or payable when supplier recipient are not related, and the price is sole consideration. 15.2 is inclusions, 15.3 is exclusions. 15.4 says if the transaction value is not acceptable, we'll go to rules. 15.5 says for notified supplies, we'll always go to rules. Good. One small question before I proceed, which has come in my chat box. Sir, doubt in yesterday's session. Secondary packing charges for safe transportation of machine on the request of buyer will be included or excluded. One point, let me tell you, my dear friend, if that amount is collected from the recipient, it will be included, because as per section 15.2c, anything charged by supplier from the recipient will be included in the value of supply. I hope your query is answered. Yeah, fantastic. Good, thank you. So friends, what is rule 27? Rule 27 talks about value of supply in case where consideration is not wholly in money. Rule 28, supplies between distinct or related persons other than principal and agent. And for principal and agent, we'll apply rule 29. Rule 30 is what? 110% of cost. Rule 31, plus judgment. 31A, valuation in case of betting, gambling, lottery. And rule 32 talks about valuation in case of certain notified supplies. And how many notified supplies we have? We discussed that we have got about 5 notified supplies. What is that? Money changing, air travel agent, life insurance business, second-hand goods and vouchers. Rule 33, exclusion in case of pure agent. Rule 34, rate of exchange. Rule 35, value inclusive of GST. I hope we are clear with all these points. Done. Without delay, let me now start discussion about another fantastic, interesting topic known as place of supply. And there were occasions where this topic came in exam for 4 marks, and there were a couple of times where this topic came for 8 marks also. So without any chance, without any scope of missing out a single mark also in the exam, let us spend some good time on discussion about this brilliant topic known as place of supply. And this topic is not dealt by CGST Act, instead it is dealt by IGST Act, my dear friends. This topic is not dealt by CGST Act, it is dealt by IGST Act. And moreover, we'll talk about section 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Section 10 talks about place of supply in case of goods. Section 11 talks about place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. Section 10 is what? In general, place of supply in case of goods. 11 is place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. And section 12 talks about place of supply in case of services, where the location of supplier and the location of recipient, both of them are in India. Section 13 talks about place of supply in case of services where the location of supplier or the location of recipient, one of them is outside India. So if both are in India, section 12 will come. One of them outside India, section 13 will come. So it is very, 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 very important to see the question properly to decide whether section 12 will come or section 13 will come. And 12 will come into picture when supplier recipient both are in India. 13 will come into picture when supplier or recipient, one of them is outside India. Finally, section 14 talks about place of supply in case of order services. Order talks about online, information, database, access, and retrieval service. Let me repeat the full form again. What does order stands for? Online, information, database, access, and retrieval service. So there is some online information or there is some database which we can access and which we can retrieve. Practical example, YouTube videos or Wink music, or let's talk about something like Amazon Prime Video, or let's talk about Netflix. What happens in this Netflix and all? So Netflix, ZEE5 and all, already data is stored on the cloud. Once we take a subscription, we can start watching all the videos. It is not that somebody is running that video for us. It is just that that video is already stored on the cloud, and once we take a subscription, we can start watching that videos. That kind of service is known as OIDER, which stands for online information, database, access, and retrieval service. So it is as good as that online database can be accessed and it can be retrieved. So in summary, section 10 deals with place of supply in case of goods. 11 deals with place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. 12 deals with place of supply in case of services when supplier recipient both are in India. 13 deals with place of supply in case of services where the location of supplier or the location of recipient, one of them is outside India. 14 talks about place of supply in case of order services. And let me tell you guys, we are going to spend more time in case of services because goods is pretty simple and easy because goods is more of tangible in nature. And we have got only 5 interesting provisions there. But in service, it is not like that because service is prima facie intangible in nature and we have got varieties of services. And for different services, we have got different concept of place of supply. That is why it is very important to understand how do we determine place of supply in case of services, and that is something what is coming in the exam generally. Let's proceed. And are we talking about CGST Act? Answer is no. We are not talking about CGST Act. We are talking about IGST Act, Integrated GST Act. Let's proceed. First, let me talk about place of supply in case of goods dealt by a brilliant section known as Section 10 of IGST Act. And this is applicable for other than goods imported or exported. Because for goods imported or exported, we'll apply Section 11. Section 10 will apply to goods generally which are not imported and exported. First, Section 10(1)(a), and this point deals with supply involves movement of goods. There is some movement of goods, and there could be some supply where there is no movement of goods also. Let's take an example like this. Let's say I'm selling my office furniture to you, and I'm physically not moving the furniture. I sold my office space to you along with furniture. Furniture is not being physically moved. So when there is no movement of goods, we have got something called 10(1)(c). 10(1)(a) will come into picture whenever there is a movement of goods. When there is no movement of goods, 10(1)(c) will come. Now, what is the place of supply for 10(1)(a)? What is the place of supply for 10(1)(c)? We'll talk in detail. So 10(1)(a) talks about what? Place of supply in case where supply involves movement of goods. Where they specified that place of supply shall be location of goods. Come on, what are we looking at? Location of goods at the time at which movement terminates for a delivery to the recipient. So we are talking about the place where movement of goods terminated for delivery to the recipient, where the movement of goods is terminated for delivery to the recipient. Let me take a small example. Now let's say one person, Mr. A, he is a registered person in Maharashtra. he is supplying goods, and these goods are actually being moved. So there is a movement of goods, and they supplied goods to another person, Mr. B, who is a registered person in Goa. Is it a B2B transaction or B2C transaction? Come on, is it B2B or B2C? Definitely it is a B2B transaction. Why? When recipient is a registered person, we call it as B2B. Recipient is unregistered, we'll call it as B2C. Now here, for this particular transaction, what will be the place of supply, sir? Come on, please tell me the answer. Come on, guys, what is the place of supply? Without any second thought, place of supply will be Goa. But if there is a case where this Goa person, Mr. B, comes to Maharashtra, this Goa person comes to Maharashtra, he takes delivery in Maharashtra itself, movement of goods terminated in Maharashtra itself, then in that particular case, place of supply will become Maharashtra. The logic is simple. Place of supply is the place where movement of goods, what is that? Movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. When I say terminates, that means stops. Movement of goods stops for delivery to the recipient. This point is given by section 10(1)(a). Place of supply in case where there is a movement of goods. What is the answer? The place where movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Now, let's talk about next important provision, section 10(1)(b). Extremely important, came in exams so many times. Listen very carefully, think properly and tell me. So let's say there is one person, Shivateja, who is a registered person in Telangana state. Shivateja is what? Registered person in Telangana state. And let's say there is one person, Mr. Bahubali. Okay? He is a registered person in Maharashtra. There is another person, Mr. Kattappa. I'm sure you would have heard these names. Yeah? Perfect. Yeah. So there is one person, Bahubali, who is a registered person in Maharashtra. There is one person, Mr. Kattappa, who is a registered person in Goa. Okay, guys. Now, what has happened is all three are unrelated persons. All three are what persons? Unrelated persons. So there is no link between Shivateja, Bahubali, and Kattappa. Now, what I've done is I placed order. I placed order for, let's say, 1,000 chocolates. 1,000 chocolates. So who ordered whom? Shivateja ordered. He placed order with Bahubali for supply of 1,000 chocolates. Clear, friends? But what has happened is, in the meantime, before Bahubali was about to dispatch to Shivateja, Shivateja got order for 1,000 chocolates from Mr. Kattappa. So what Shivateja has done is, Shivateja instructed Bahubali to supply to Kattappa. He instructed Bahubali to supply that 1,000 chocolates to Kattappa. Now let me ask you one question. Is there a direct relation between Bahubali and Kattappa? Answer is no, because Kattappa did not place order with Bahubali. Who actually placed order with Bahubali is nothing but Shivateja. But Shivateja instructed Bahubali to supply to Kattappa. Yes or no? Speak out. Now my first question to you. Who will give invoice to whom? First of all, common sense point, Bahubali will give invoice. Now tell me, Bahubali will give invoice to whom, my dear friends? Bahubali will give invoice to whom? Speak out. No doubt about it. Bahubali will definitely give invoice to Shivateja, because Bahubali doesn't know who is Kattappa. Kattappa did not place order with Bahubali. Who placed order with Bahubali is Shivateja placed order with Bahubali. No doubt about it. Correct, my dear friends? Technically, this kind of model is technically called as build to ship to model. Very, very important, very, very popular, even on real-time practical basis also. What do we call this model as? Build to ship to model. Because if you observe from Bahubali's point of view, whose point of view? If you observe from Bahubali's point of view, it is built to Shivateja, but shipped to Kattappa. It is built to whom? It is built to Shivateja, but actually supplied to whom? Kattappa. That is shipped to Kattappa. Built to Shivateja, shipped to Kattappa. It is called as built to ship to model. Now Bahubali will give invoice to whom, sir? Shivateja. Now for this particular invoice, please tell me what will be the place of supply. What will be the place of supply? Is it Maharashtra? Is it Goa? Or is it Telangana, guys? Come on, friends. Good. Some are telling Goa, some are telling Telangana, some are telling Maharashtra, some are telling Jammu and Kashmir. Kya dosto? So let me tell you guys, answer in this particular state will be Telangana state, because they have clearly given in section 10(1)(b) stating that in case where goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, then place of supply will be principal place of business of such third person. Now here, who gave instructions here? Shivateja gave instructions to Bahubali to send it to Kattappa. In that case, my dear friends, place of supply will be principal place of business of Shivateja. It is something like billing address of Shivateja, which is nothing but Telangana. But here one more special point to be noted. In this particular transaction, there is one more important point also. That is point number 2. Shivateja will give invoice to Mr. Kattappa. Obviously, because Kattappa cannot ask invoice from Bahubali. Kattappa cannot ask invoice from Bahubali. Kattappa will definitely ask invoice from Shivateja, because Kattappa did not place order with Bahubali. Instead, Kattappa placed order with Shivateja. So Kattappa will definitely not ask invoice from Bahubali, but he will ask invoice from Shivateja. So for that particular transaction, what will be the place of supply? For here, place of supply will be Goa, because of section 10(1)(a). Place of supply is the place where movement of goods terminates for a delivery to the recipient. Now the point what you have to understand is 10(1)(b) will come into picture when one person instructed another person to supply to another person. Only for build to ship to model, we'll apply the concept of 10(1)(b). So for first transaction, hold on guys, just 1 second. Friends, is it visible? Can you please reply once? Because that app got auto started. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Sir, for first transaction, very clearly, place of supply is being determined as per section 10(1)(b). But let me tell you, for second transaction, place of supply is determined as per section 10(1)(a). Because 10(1)(b) will come into picture only when one person instructed another person to supply to another person. Technically, when we say when goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person, then place of supply will be principal place of business of such third person. Very interesting, very powerful. I repeat once again, guys. 10(1)(a) will come into picture in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b) will come into picture in case of build to ship to model, where goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of the third person. In that particular case, my dear friends, place of supply is nothing but the principal place of business of such third person. That is a beautiful point, what you have to observe in section 10(1)(b), which is a fantastic and amazing concept there. I hope we are clear, guys. Everybody? Any doubts you can ask? Good. Yeah, I'm glad most of them are clear. So what is section 10(1)(a), guys? 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b) talks about place of supply in case where goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of the third person. Technically, we call it as what model? Technically, we call it as build to ship to model, where goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person. That is the point what you have to observe there. Chalo. Going back to my presentation. Look at 10(1)(b). Goods are supplied on the directions of the third person. See the answer there? Principal place of business of the third person. That is address in registration certificate. We know that registration certificate REG 06 will contain the address details of that every particular person who is registered under GST law. Clear? So what is 10(1)(a), guys? 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b), goods are supplied by supplier to the recipient on the instructions of a third person. Then 10(1)(c), supply does not involve movement of goods. So we're talking about a situation where there is no movement of goods. And if there is no movement of goods, what is the answer for place of supply? Please see that. Place of supply will be location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. Simple answer. Wherever goods are located, that will become the place of supply. And that too, when do we see? We will see the location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. So at the time of handing over to the recipient, where are they located? That becomes the place of supply. Simple point. Then 10(1)(d), very important. Goods are assembled or installed at site. So let's take one small example. So let's say there is one company, Reliance, which is a registered person in Maharashtra, and they are planning to set up a new store in Sikkim. New store where, sir? Sikkim. For that purpose, what has happened is Reliance contacted Otis Elevator. Otis Elevators Lift. Otis Elevators, which is a registered person. Otis Elevator, which is a registered person in Tamil Nadu, for the purpose of installation of new elevator or new lift generators. For this particular transaction, what will be the place of supply? Come on, please reply. Good. Fantastic. Majority of them are giving right answer. So let me tell you, place of supply will straight away become Sikkim, because as per section 10(1)(d), in case of goods assembled or installed at site, place of supply is the place where the goods are assembled or installed. So wherever they are assembled or installed, that place only will become place of supply. Here in this particular example, lift is being installed at Sikkim, so place of supply will become Sikkim. Clear? Now finally, one more last interesting point. This also tell me the answer. Think properly and tell. Okay? Now what has happened is, there is one person, Shiva Teja. Now what is happening is, there is one flight which is going from Gujarat to Goa to Maharashtra and then to Kerala. Shiva Teja boarded the flight at Goa to travel to Maharashtra. To travel to Maharashtra. Okay, guys. And this flight is basically an Indigo Airlines. Indigo Airlines. Okay, guys. I boarded the flight at Goa to travel to Maharashtra. And this particular flight for supply to passengers, for supply to what, sir? Passengers, they have loaded books at Gujarat. There are books at what, sir? Gujarat. Now Shiva Teja boarded flight at Goa to travel to where? Maharashtra. And this flight final destination is where? Kerala. Now during journey, Shiva Teja purchased a book. Shiva Teja purchased what, my dear friends? Shiva Teja purchased a book. Now question is all about, we are talking about scenario of goods supplied on board a conveyance. Goods supplied what, sir? On board a conveyance. So basically goods are being supplied, I repeat, goods are being supplied during the course of journey. Goods are being supplied when? During the course of journey. Now tell me guys, for this particular purchase transaction, what will be the place of supply? You have four options: Gujarat, Goa, Maharashtra, Kerala. Don't tell me Jammu and Kashmir. Yeah. What I'm observing is Goa guys are telling Goa, Maharashtra guys are telling Maharashtra, Karnataka guys are telling Karnataka. I didn't ask you where are you from. I asked you what is the answer. Good. Guys, let me tell you guys, place of supply answer is Gujarat. The reason being very clear that in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance during the course of journey, place of supply is the place where goods are taken on board. It is not important where I entered the aircraft. It is not important where I'm going. It is not important where I purchased. What is important is only the place where goods are taken on board. If you observe, where goods are taken on board is at Gujarat. So place of supply will become Gujarat, my dear friends. Getting clarity? Make sense, guys? Very, very, very important example. And high possibility question will come in the exam. Come on. So friends, tell me, what is section 10(1)(a)? 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b), build to ship to model. 10(1)(c), no movement of goods. Let me give a small example for no movement of goods also. So let's say Shiva Teja, who is a registered person in Maharashtra. Now what I have done is, I purchased office space along with furniture. I purchased office space along with furniture at Karnataka. I purchased what? Office space along with furniture at Karnataka. And I'm not going to bring that furniture from Karnataka to Maharashtra. Basically, I purchased office space in Karnataka to set up office in Karnataka. In Bangalore, I want to set up an office. Okay, guys. Now tell me, for this particular furniture, what I procured, what will be the place of supply? Come on, guys. I want participation. Fantastic. Everybody is giving the right answer. Place of supply will be Karnataka. The reason very clearly because in case where there is no movement of goods, place of supply is location of goods at the time of delivery to the recipient. Here, at the time of delivery, where are the goods located? At the time of delivery, the goods are located at Karnataka. So without any second thought, place of supply will become Karnataka only. Clear, friends? So what is section 10(1)(a)? 10(1)(a) talks about place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b) talks about build to ship to model. 10(1)(c) talks about place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. 10(1)(d) talks about place of supply in case of goods assembled or installed at site. What is that language? Place of supply in case where goods are assembled or installed at site. 10(1)(e) talks about goods supplied on board a conveyance. And for goods supplied on board a conveyance, place of supply is the place where goods are taken on board. Where we entered is not important. Where we are going is not important. What is important is only where goods are taken on board. That is the only thing which is important. Clear, guys? Excellent. So before I proceed, one query is there. Sir, can you give an example for section 10(1)(c)? I already gave an example. This query is answered. Yeah. Can I proceed? We are done with section 10. Place of supply in case of goods. 10(1)(a), movement of goods. 10(1)(b), bill to ship to model. 10(1)(c), no movement of goods. 10(1)(d), goods assembled or installed at site. 10(1)(e), place of supply in case where goods are supplied on board a conveyance. Place of supply is the place where goods are taken on board. That is a beauty, guys. Excellent. Good. Done. Let me proceed. So goods supplied on board a conveyance, location at which such goods are taken on board. That is the only thing important. And 10(2), you see, 10(2) is something like a general point where none of the above rules apply. Place of supply would be determined in the manner to be prescribed. So where one general point they told, generic point or common point where they told, if you are unable to determine place of supply of goods by applying section 10(1), then they will determine the manner in which you have to determine the place of supply. And that point is given by section 10(2). Clear, friends? Where none of the above rules apply, place of supply will be determined in the manner to be prescribed. Then section 10, some illustrations for your practice. You guys can see that goods are starting from Orissa going to Assam. Place of supply will be Assam. Starting from Orissa going to Orissa, obviously Orissa. Started from Kerala going to Goa, obviously Goa. Started from Kerala going to Kerala, place of supply is obviously Kerala, no doubt about it. Then place of supply for goods, section 11, where we are talking about imported and exported. Goods are imported into India or goods are exported from India. And we know what is the meaning of export and import. Export means what? Taking goods out of India to a place outside India. Taking goods where? Out of India to a place where? Outside India. Taking goods out of India to a place outside India. And what does import of goods means? Bringing goods into India from a place outside India. Import is something like we are bringing the goods into India from a place outside India. And for import, simple answer, location of importer. Wherever importer is located, that is the answer for place of supply. And for export, location outside India, in simple terms, wherever we are exporting, that is place of supply. So in simple terms, if you are sending goods from India to Japan, place of supply is what? Japan. India to UK, place of supply is what? UK. And for import, location of importer. And section 5 provides that IGST shall be levied on goods imported into India as per section 3 of Customs Tariff Act. And point of taxation, when duties of customs are levied on the said goods value as per customs. We will spend time on customs valuation. That time we'll talk in detail about this. Don't worry. Clear. That's the story of section 11. Before I proceed, I am seeing a couple of queries in the chat box. Sir, please share revision material. It's already shared. I request Rahul to share in the chat box also once again. Rahul, please do that.
Yes, sir, definitely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you. Yeah. So we're done with what, my dear friends? Section 10 and section 11. You can see some examples for section 11. So supplier is in Thailand. Goods are being sent to Assam. And location of recipient is Assam. What a place of supply then? Assam. Simple. So in simple logic, you have to observe that location of importer is something what is important. Getting clarity? Everyone? Yeah. And export of goods, what is the answer? Export of goods is a location outside India where they are sending, that is important. Make sense? That's it. That's the story of section 11. Section 10 deals with what? Place of supply in case of goods other than import and export. Section 11 deals with place of supply in case of goods imported or exported. So guys, before I proceed, let's once have a quick round of revision once again. So what is section 10(1)(a)? Place of supply in case where there is movement of goods. 10(1)(b), bill to ship to model. 10(1)(c), place of supply in case where there is no movement of goods. 10(1)(d), place of supply in case of goods assembled or installed at site. And finally, 10(1)(e), place of supply in case of goods supplied on board a conveyance. That means during the course of journey, the goods are supplied. Then the place of supply is the place where goods are taken on board. And section 11 for import and export. For import, location of importer. For export, location outside India. That is answer for section 11. Yeah. One query, sir, please explain example in case of import. I'll discuss, don't worry. Sir, example 2, supplier is in China, goods are being sent from China, they are being sent to Kashmir, and location of recipient is Haryana. Then place of supply, let me tell you guys, it won't be Kashmir. I got your query. This will ideally be Haryana. The logic is simple because it should be location of importer. That is important. It's not important where goods are being sent. It is location of importer. That is what is most important. Please observe that location of importer, that is what is to be considered. I hope your query is solved. Yes? Please reply. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Good. Chalo guys. Chalo beta. Start karenge abhi. Let's start discussion about section 12. That's going to take some time because there are so many points, because it's related to services which are purely intangible in nature, where we have got so many points to talk here. And let me tell you, section 12(1) clearly says that provisions of section 12 will apply. I repeat, 12(1) clearly says provisions of section 12 will apply when supplier and recipient both are in India. अगर दोनों इंडिया में है बेटा तभी सेक्शन 12 अप्लाई होगा. अगर दोनों में से एक भी बंदा बाहर है तो सेक्शन 13 अप्लाई होगा. You might get one doubt, सर अगर दोनों भी बाहर है तो बेटा अगर दोनों में बाहर है तो जीएसटी क्यों आएगा? That's a point you have to observe here. So 12(1) clearly says section 12 will apply when supplier recipient both are in India. And first let me talk about general rule which is given by section 12(2). And 12(2) will apply for services which are not covered by 12(3) to 12(14). So for those not covered by 12(3) to 12(14), will apply 12(2). Please see that for supply of any other service, general rule will apply. And general rule always says if recipient is registered, if recipient is what? Registered, place of supply is location of recipient. So if recipient is a registered person, place of supply is location of recipient. If recipient is an unregistered person, place of supply will be location of recipient. If address is there in supplier's records. If address is not there in supplier's records, place of supply will be location of supplier. Now, let me ask you one small question. Think properly and tell me. Sir Shivateja, think properly, because see, I'm giving so many examples because place of supply concept we can perfectly understand by example only, and I'm sure you totally agree to that. That is why I'm giving so many examples. Now, Shivateja, what I've done is I'm in Hyderabad, Telangana state. Okay. Now I traveled to Goa, traveled by road to Goa. I just want to have a pleasure trip for 3 days. So I decided to go to Goa to have fun there. And I just want to have a vacation in Goa. Yeah. So I went to Goa for 3 days. Now what has happened is I traveled by road. Okay, I've got one BMW car which I used to travel by road from Hyderabad to Goa. Now, what has happened? There was a breakdown for the car. Some trouble has come, some issue has come, so there was a breakdown. Yeah. Now, what I've done is in Goa, I went to a BMW showroom. Where did I go? BMW showroom. BMW showroom for the purpose of getting the repair done. Second possibility, I might go to a first possibility, I'll go to showroom and get it done. Second possibility, I went to a local service center. It is not a showroom. I just went to a local service center and there I got repair done. Now tell me guys, how do we determine place of supply? Don't try, wait. I'm telling wait. I'm talking about place of supply. First case, Shiva Teja is a registered person. Shiva Teja is what person? Registered person. Then what will be the place of supply? Speak out. If Shiva Teja is a registered person, what will be the place of supply? If Shiva Teja is a registered person, place of supply will definitely be Telangana state, because if recipient is a registered person, place of supply will be location of such person, which is nothing but Telangana state, address of the registered person. Clear? Somebody is telling a wrong answer, please check your answer. Second point. If Shiva Teja is unregistered person and service is done in BMW showroom, then what will be the place of supply? Tell me. For second question, tell me the answer. For second question, guys, let me tell you, the answer will be Telangana state only, because we just discussed that if recipient is an unregistered person and in the supplier record address is existing. Now we observe, I went to where? I went to BMW showroom. When I went to BMW showroom, in BMW records, Shiva Teja's address is there. And which address is there? In BMW records, definitely the address of Shiva Teja is Telangana address, because I procured my car in Telangana. Correct, my dear friends? So in BMW records, my address is Telangana state only. So if Shiva Teja is unregistered person and service is done in BMW showroom, then place of supply is what? Telangana state. And third point, if Shiva Teja is unregistered person and service is done at local service center, then what will be the place of supply is? Come on, tell me. In that particular case, my dear friends, place of supply will definitely become Goa. The reason being very clear that in case where recipient address is not there, then place of supply will become what, my dear friends? If recipient address is not there, then place of supply will become location of supplier. Location of what? Supplier. And where is the location of supplier? It is nothing but Goa. This is the beauty of section 12.2. I prepared a simple example to make you understand this 12.2 perfectly. Because 12.2 clearly says if recipient is registered person, place of supply is location of registered person. If recipient is unregistered person, if address on record exists, then location of recipient. Address on record does not exist. Address on record does not exist. Then place of supply will be location of supplier. Good. One question in chat box. Sir, why can we not use where service is performed? We can't use that, my dear friend, because 12.2 specifically says that place of supply is location of recipient if address on record exists. It does not exist, it is location of supplier. In some other sections, it is place where service is performed. See, different type of transaction, we have got different provision for place of supply. You can't generalize that for all the transactions, this is the answer. And what I just discussed is 12.2 general rule, which will apply for services which are not covered in 12.3 to 12.14. Now, what are covered in 12.3 to 12.14, we'll talk in detail, don't worry. I hope you are clear. Please respond. Okay, brilliant. This is the story of which section, guys? 12.2. What does 12.1 say? 12.1 says section 12 will apply in case where location of supplier and location of recipient both are in India. And 12.2 talks about what? General rule, which clearly says if recipient is registered person, location of such person. If recipient is unregistered person, address on record exists, then location of recipient. Address on record does not exist, then location of supplier. Going back. So before I go back, I'll directly ask question. Think properly and tell. Sir, one person, Mr. Ranbir, who is in Maharashtra, this man is constructing a guest house. He is constructing a guest house in Ladakh. Mr. Ranbir, who is of Maharashtra, is constructing a guest house in Ladakh. Clear? Now, for that purpose, Ranbir contacted Mr. Manish, who is a registered person in Delhi. Who is a registered person in Delhi, who is one top architect. Top what's a architect? For that purpose, Ranbir paid 25 lakhs to Manish to give a design for the purpose of this construction of guest house, which is going to happen in Ladakh. Tell me, guys, for this particular transaction, what will be the place of supply? Some are telling Maharashtra, some are telling Delhi, some are telling Ladakh. Guys, please, guys, let me tell you the answer is Ladakh, my dear friends, because the reason is very clear that this provision is determined by section 12.3, which clearly says that in case of service related to immovable property, in case of service related to what? In case of service related to immovable property, including accommodation in hotel accommodation, not food. I'm talking about accommodation in hotel, not food in hotel. Yeah. So for service in relation to immovable property, place of supply is the place where property is located or intended to be located. And here, if you observe, where is the property located? Property is located in Ladakh. So without second thought, place of supply will become Ladakh, my dear friends. That is a beautiful point. What you have to observe there. Which section is all this? Section 12.3, which talks about place of supply in relation to immovable property. And the answer is very clearly the place where immovable property is located and is located in Ladakh. So place of supply will become Ladakh, my dear friends. And I'll ask you one question. What will be your answer if guest house is being constructed at Dubai? Constructed where, sir? Dubai. In that particular case, my dear friends, they clarified that place of supply will be location of recipient, which is nothing but Maharashtra. Section 12.3 specifically says that in relation to immovable property, including accommodation service, place of supply is the place where immovable property is located or intended to be located. But if the immovable property is located outside India, then the place of supply will be the location of recipient, which is nothing but Maharashtra. Clear, friends? Good. Fair enough. Let me go back. Some query. What does intended to be located mean? My dear friend, let me tell you, intended to be located means there could be some case where property is already constructed, some other service is taken for that property. Or let's say Shivateja is constructing one new property in Mumbai. So for that, I am getting some service done. So it is something like it is intended to be located in Maharashtra. That is what is the meaning of that point. I hope you are clear. Done. 12.3. Service in relation to immovable property, grant of rights, construction, use, accommodation, or marriage, function halls, convention centers, letting out, architects, surveyors, boat, vessel, lodging. Some places like Kerala, we have concept of houseboats. Then place of supply is a location of property or boat or vessel. And if property is outside India, place of supply is what? Location of recipient. Then next one, restaurant and catering, food. Previous point was accommodation, but now we are talking about food, personal grooming, fitness, gym, beauty treatment. Wow, beautiful, fantastic, so handsome you are. Beauty treatment. Finally, health service, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. For all these points, my dear friends, place of supply is the location of actual performance. From that time, when student was posting this point, telling us actual performance and all. For 12.4, this is the answer. Place of supply is the place where service is actually performed. For what services? Restaurant and catering, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. So let me ask you a small point, guys. Think properly and think. So let's say there is somebody known as Dharma Productions, which is a registered person in Maharashtra. These guys are doing shooting of film in Goa. There is one lady, Mrs. X, and she is basically a beautician. And Dharma Productions contacted Mrs. X, who is a registered person in Delhi, who is a top beautician, to basically come to Goa. Shooting spot is going on where? Shooting spot is going on in Goa. So Dharma Productions contacted Mrs. X, who is a beautician in Goa, to come beautician in Delhi, to come to Goa for the purpose of doing makeup to artists. And Dharma Production paid 10 lakhs to Mrs. X. Now tell me, for this particular makeup service, what will be the place of supply? Quick, fantastic. No second thought about it. Place of supply will definitely become Goa, because place of supply is the place where services are actually performed. That is the story of this section 12.4, which covers restaurant and catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. Come on, what are the points we covered there? Restaurant and catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services, including cosmetic and plastic surgery. So for all these services together, what is the answer? The answer is straight away the place where services are actually performed. That is how the answer has become Goa, my dear friends. Make sense? Done. Next. Okay. In the same context, I'll ask you one question. So let's say there is one company, Infosys, which is a registered person in Karnataka, and they are planning an educational entertainment tour to Goa for employees. Clear, friends? Speak out. Done. For that purpose, what has happened is Infosys contacted Shivateja. They paid 3 lakh rupees to me, and they asked me to come to Goa to give GST training to the employees, for which they paid me what, my dear friends? 3 lakhs. And Shivateja is a registered person in Telangana state. Tell me, guys, for this particular transaction, what will become the place of supply? Place of supply will definitely become Telangana state. For training and performance appraisal service, place of supply if the recipient is registered person, location of such person. But by any chance, if Shivateja is unregistered person, then place of supply will become Goa, because place of supply is the place where services are actually performed. Place of supply is the place where services are actually performed. So if I'm registered, the answer is Telangana state. If I'm unregistered, the answer is Goa. Good. Some query in chat box. They're asking, sir, what if makeup is done on the flight? Friends, my dear friend, let me tell you, if makeup is done on the flight, answer should actually be flight, because the place where services are actually performed. So if it is flight, practical issues will come in terms of how do we determine place of supply. Somebody is telling where beautician boarded, or is there dangerous answer. For goods, I told where goods are taken on board. For people also, you will tell where people are taken on flight. Come on here. There's nowhere written like that where beautician is boarded. Please. Done. So with this, we are done till section 12.1 to 12.5. What is 12.1, guys? 12.1 says section 12 will apply when supplier recipient both are located in India. 12.2 talks about general rule. 12.3 immovable property related service including accommodation service. 12.4 restaurant and catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services including cosmetic and plastic surgery. 12.5 training and performance appraisal. And for training and performance appraisal, if recipient is registered person, location of such person. If recipient is unregistered, then the answer is the place where services are actually performed. Clear? Excellent. Now, Sir Shivateja from Telangana state, who is a registered person in Telangana state. I went to Maharashtra for a tour or vacation. Now in Maharashtra, what I've done is, I went to a water park, Imagica water park, to enjoy and have fun in that water park. It's something like an amusement park. And Imagica is a registered person in Maharashtra. And for this, I paid an entry ticket fees of, let's say, 1,000 rupees. Now tell me guys, for this 1,000 rupees, entry fees what I paid, what will become the place of supply? Good, fantastic answer. Place of supply is definitely Maharashtra, my dear friends, because in case of admission to events or amusement parks, in case of what? Admission to event or amusement parks. For admission to event or amusement park, place of supply is the place where event is held or the place where park is located. Place where event is held or the park is located. That is the story of section 12.6. In the same lines, 12.6 is about admission to event, but 12.7 is about organizing an event. Let me discuss what is it. Think properly and tell. Guys, Tata Limited, registered person in Maharashtra, they want to conduct annual day event in Jammu and Kashmir. Yeah, for that purpose, they contacted Max Events, who is a registered person in Uttar Pradesh, who is one top event organizer. And for that, they paid 1 crore to organize the annual day event. First fundamental point, who is a supplier? Supplier of service is nothing but Max Event. Recipient of service is nothing but Tata Limited. Supplier is Max Events, recipient is Tata Limited. Tell me guys, what will be the place of supply? Excellent. I'm so happy that students are giving fantastic answer. Place of supply is Maharashtra. But by any chance, if Tata Limited is an unregistered person, then what will be place of supply? If Tata Limited is unregistered person, then place of supply will become Jammu and Kashmir, because the answer will become place where event is actually held. And by any chance, if event is held outside India, event is held where? Outside India, then place of supply will become location of recipient. Something like immovable property, what we discussed, that if immovable property is located outside India, place of supply is location of recipient. Something like that. Very clear to that. So this concept is given by section 12.7, which talks about organizing an event. 12.6 is about admission to event. 12.7 is about organizing an event. 6 is what? Admission to event. 7 is what? Organizing an event. Come on. Let me go back. 12.5, training and performance appraisal. Registered recipient, location of recipient. Unregistered, actual performance. And for admission to event, what event? Cultural, sporting, scientific, educational, entertainment, amusement, parks, or anything. Venue of event or park. Next. Organizing an event, registered person, location of recipient. Unregistered, venue of event. Event outside India, location of recipient. Simple answer. Yeah. Some question. Sir, how the recipient you are applied to supplier? I didn't get your question, sir. I do not understand what you are asking. How the recipient you are applied to supplier means what? Can you reframe your question and ask? Yes, please. Yeah. So can I proceed then? Okay, good. So what is section 12.5, guys? 12.5 talks about training and performance appraisal. 12.6 talks about admission to event. 12.7 talks about organizing an event. Yeah, he's asking in the example recipient data is unregistered. Example recipient data is unregistered. Let me open the example. So we are saying recipient data is unregistered. If recipient data is unregistered, I told the answer no. If data is unregistered, then place of supply is what? Jammu and Kashmir, because it is the place where event is actually held. Since it is held in Jammu and Kashmir, place of supply will become Jammu and Kashmir. Got it? Done. So if recipient is registered, place of supply will be location of recipient. If it is unregistered, place of supply is the place where event is actually held. That's it. That is the story of 12.1 to 12.7. Let's now look at 12.8. Simple point. Transportation of goods. Goods transport agency, including mail or courier. So courier, Blue Dart, or any courier agency, professional courier. Registered recipient, location of recipient. Unregistered person, location where goods are handed over for transportation. So where the goods are being given for the purpose of transportation, that becomes place of supply. Where the goods are handed over for what? Transportation. It is not destination. It is a place where goods are handed over for transportation. Clear? Then 12.9, passenger transport. Passenger transport. Shivateja's flight ticket from Hyderabad to Mumbai, Hyderabad to Goa. Return journey, always separate journey. If I am registered, place of registered recipient. If I am unregistered, place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. That means the place where I enter the aircraft. So for example, I am traveling from, let's say for example, I am traveling from Telangana to Goa and I am registered in Karnataka. I traveled by Air Indigo flight from Telangana to Goa. I am registered in Karnataka. Place of supply will become Karnataka. But if I am unregistered, place of supply will become Telangana. the place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. The place where I enter the conveyance for continuous journey. Clear, friends? Everyone? Good. Finally, 12.10. Services on board a conveyance. So the 10 what we discussed was goods on board a conveyance, where we discussed the answer is the place where goods are taken on board. But here we are talking about services on board a conveyance. For service on board a conveyance, it is not important where we are entering. What is important is first scheduled point of departure. First what point? Scheduled point of departure. First scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. So what is important is not where we are entering. What is important is where that aircraft or airplane or train started. That is what is very important. So one question in chat box. Sir, if event is outside India, then location of recipient will be place of supply, irrespective of whether registered or unregistered. Yes, obviously, no doubt. Because recipient is unregistered and event is outside India, then place of supply is location of recipient. Of course. Now, some student is asking, sir, example for 12.10. I'll give. Don't worry. Sir, there is one flight which is going from Gujarat to Goa to Maharashtra to Kerala. Now, Mr. Rahul entered at Goa and traveling to Maharashtra. Traveling to where? Maharashtra. And during journey, he availed services on board. During journey, he has taken some service. Now tell me, for this particular service, what will become place of supply? So we are not talking about goods on board a conveyance. We are talking about service on board a conveyance. Tell me guys, for this particular service, what will be the place of supply, guys? Come on, please reply. The answer is straight away Gujarat, my dear friends. The reason being very clear that in case of service supplied on board a conveyance, place of supply is the place where first scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for the journey. So what is important is where that conveyance has first started. This is a brilliant example for section 12.10. So friends, to recall once, what is section 12.1? 12.1 talks about where 12 will apply when supplier recipient both are in India. 12.2 is what? General rule for apply for services not covered in 12.3 to 12.14. 12.3 immobile property. 12.4 restaurant and catering, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services including cosmetic and plastic surgery. 12.5 training and performance appraisal. 12.6 admission to event. 12.7 organizing an event. 12.8 transportation of goods. 12.9 transportation of passengers. 12.10 service on board a conveyance. That is the story of 12.1 to 12.10. Are we clear, everybody, sir? Please respond, all of you guys. Done. Fantastic. Let's do something. Let's take a short break for 5 minutes. Short, quick, sweet break. And after 5 minutes, we'll resume back and we'll discuss the balance points in place of supply. Okay? Take a break and come back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Now, two things here. One thing, is the voice very clear or not? Sorry. Welcome back, guys. So friends, 12.1 says section 12 will apply when both are located in India. 12.2 says general rule. 12.3 mobile property. 12.4 restaurant and catering services, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health services including cosmetic and plastic surgery. 12.5 training and performance appraisal services. 12.6 admission to event. 12.7 organizing an event. 12.8 transportation of goods. 12.9 transportation of passengers. 12.10 services supplied on board a conveyance. Are we clear? Done. Let me go back now and let's talk about the balance provisions in section 12. 12.11, guys. 12.11 is slightly a bigger one, which is related to telecommunication, like our cell phone, postpaid, prepaid, or internet connection, or landline connection. Earlier we used to have a landline at home, right? Nowadays every family member has got a cell phone, but before we used to have a landline at home, and that is a common via media for all of us. See now, services of fixed telecom line, like a landline, or leased circuit.
Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to make a quick announcement that what we can do is we can take the queries at the end of the session if anyone is having any kind of doubt. So you guys can note it down, and at the end of the session we can take those doubts and solve it out. So at least we are not we are not taking the time for time of the content that we are going to cover it out today. So that is what my suggestion would be. So if it is okay, we can continue.
Yeah, so we can go ahead, and whatever queries you guys have got in particular specific to some particular section, you guys can ask. And in case where it's a generic doubt, you can note it down, and at the end of the session, we can answer all your queries. Don't worry. I'll ensure I'll answer your queries and then only leave. Don't worry.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And about the few topics, are we supposed to announce it today, or we can announce it later on about the assessment and this thing?
End of session we'll talk about this. End of session we'll tell this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So 12.11, guys, is related to telecommunication services. So as I was telling about fixed telecommunication line and leased circuit, internet circuit, cable, dish, antenna and all, the dish what we put at home, location where the line or device is installed, where it is installed, that is what is most important, because that becomes the place of supply. Then postpaid mobile connection, postpaid, where we pay the bill after using it, and internet services, location of billing address, obviously because in case of postpaid a bill is generated. Then prepaid mobile connection for telecommunication and internet services. With respect to prepaid, my dear friends, let me tell you, place of supply answer is in case where you recharge through internet, like phone pay, Paytm, Google Pay, whatever it is, through internet you recharge, location of recipient on record. And if you recharge through selling agent, where you go to that Idea showroom or Vodafone showroom or Airtel showroom and get recharge done, or Jio, location of selling agent on the record of supplier. And if it is done through any other way, location where the payment is received or the vouchers are sold, where the payment has been received or where the voucher is being sold, that becomes a place of supply. And finally, couple of general points they give. In case where it is not covered anywhere, address of recipient on records shall be the place of supply. Whatever address is there on the recipient records, that will be considered as the place of supply. And finally, one last point, where no address of the recipient is available on records, we do not have the address of recipient on records, location of supplier shall be place of supply. Obviously, common sense point, if recipient address is not there, then what will you consider? Location of supplier. That is a general point, no doubt about it. So this is the story of which section? 12.11, telecommunication services. Came in exam one time for 2 months. Then 12.12, very important, banking and financial services including stockbroking, stockbroker, location of recipient in supplier records, common point. And if it is not available, obviously location of supplier. बराबर ना भाई, हो गई ना बात. लोकेशन ऑफ रिसिपिएंट देखो, अगर वो नहीं मिल रहा है तो क्या करेंगे भाई? लोकेशन ऑफ सप्लायर, और दूसरा ऑप्शन भी तो नहीं है. Correct, guys? Exactly. Then 12.13, insurance services. If recipient is a registered person, location of recipient. If he is unregistered recipient, location of recipient in supplier's records. And don't get it out, sir, what if location of recipient is not available? In case of insurance, it is never possible that location of recipient is not available. Obviously, location of recipient is available for insurance. You might get one doubt, sir, banking also it is available, right? Banking, there could be a case where it is not available. Let me give a small example. Shivateja has got an account in ICICI Bank, but I can go to Axis Bank as well and avail some banking services, like taking some demand draft. I can do that, and they do not have my address. In that case, location of recipient is not available. Then place of supply will become location of supplier. Then 1214, advertisement services to government. In case of advertisement services to government, place of supply is actually the place where advertisement is done. Obviously, because nowadays technology has so much developed that advertisement can be done on TV or on radio or on newspaper or online platforms like on YouTube. YouTube, a lot of times when we start watching some videos, in between ads start coming, and sometimes we have to wait for a few seconds to ensure that ad will go, skip the ad, and the video will start. For that reason, they specified how do we attribute the value in case of different circumstances. Like for newspaper, there is a different scenario. For pamphlets, it is different. For hoardings, it is different. And let me talk about train, very important. Advertisement is done on the train itself. On the train, advertisement is done. Then we'll apportion based on the ratio of the length of railway track. We'll consider the length of railway track, and on that ratio, we'll apportion. Clear, friends? Advertisement on the back of utility bills like power bills or something like our gas bills, on the back of that we are doing. Then we'll decide based on pertaining to consumers having billing address in that state or UT. Who are having billing address, they only get a bill, right? Next point. This point is important. Please see that. Advertisement on the back of railway ticket. On the back of the railway ticket, advertisement is being done. In that case, my dear friends, how do we apportion? Each state is basically number of railway stations in each state. So for example, if a train is going from Telangana to Karnataka to Goa to Maharashtra, then we will see how many railway stations are there in each state. And in that ratio, we'll divide. We'll proportionately doing that. Clear, friends? And advertisement on radio. And then for television, this is interesting. Television will divide based on number of viewership. Viewership will come, right? How many viewers are watching in this state? For example, there is a channel, Sony channel, on which I am giving advertisement. This particular Sony channel, viewership is different in different states. So we'll apportion to different state based on viewership number. And for cinema halls, based on how many cinema halls or multiplex screens are there. And for internet, how many internet subscribers are there. And for telephone through SMS, how many telecom subscribers are there. In that ratio, we are dividing. Now, one practical problem is there. That is, let's say, when I talk about internet, when it is done through internet, the advertisement is done all over India, because everybody in India will watch when a video is posted on YouTube or something is being done through an online platform. In that case, what is the basis? The basis is number of internet subscribers. Based on that ratio, we will divide for each particular state and decide the place of supply. For example, we are getting a number as 10 lakhs, and this 10 lakhs is for Goa and Maharashtra together. We got this 10 lakh figure for Goa and Maharashtra together. I repeat, we got this 10 lakh figure for Goa and Maharashtra together. Separately for Goa, separately for Maharashtra, they are unable to ascertain. But we got the figure for Goa and Maharashtra together. So accordingly, what law has specified is that this 10 lakhs, you again apportion based on population. So in population ratio, you divide internet subscriber figures. Internet subscriber figure will apportion in the ratio of population. In case where we are not able to get internet subscriber figure for each state separately, but we got for 2-3 states combined together, then we'll apportion the ratio of what? Population. What figure? Internet subscriber figure will apportion the ratio of population of that Goa and Maharashtra. This point came in exam one time for 4 marks. That is why I spent some time. Section 1214, advertisement services to government or a local authority, dealt by section 12, subsection 14. I hope we are clear, friends. Please respond. Perfect. Thank you so much. So guys, before I proceed next, I want to spend 2 minutes time on revision ones. 12.1, 12 applies when both are located in India. 12.2, general rule. 12.3, immovable property including accommodation. 12.4, restaurant and catering service, personal grooming, fitness, beauty treatment, health service including cosmetic and plastic surgery. 12.5, training and performance appraisal. 12.6, admission to event. 12.7, organizing an event. 12.8, transportation of goods. 12.9, transportation of passengers. 12.10, services on board a conveyance. 12.11, telecommunication services. 12.12, banking and financial services including stockbroking. 12.13, insurance services. 12.14, the answer is very clear, which talks about advertisement service to central government or state government or local authority. That is the end of story for this beautiful section, section 12, which comes into picture and applies in case where the location of supplier and the location of recipient both are located in India. Only when both are located in India, only then will apply provisions of section 12. Clear? Everybody? Good. Now let's talk about section 13, my dear friends. Section 13 will apply in case where supplier or supplier, what's that? Supplier or recipient is where? Outside India. So if one of them is outside India, section 13 will apply. And let me tell you one simple point. If you are perfect in section 12, section 13 is very, very easy because almost major points are same without any change. See, first case, service when goods are required to be made physically available by recipient or requiring physical presence, then the answer is place where services are actually performed. Place where what? Services are actually performed. But if service is done by electronic means, then place of supply is the place where goods are located. Place where goods are located. Let me give a small example here because this is an important point and I can't take any chance with this. Listen. Sir Shivateja, who is in Maharashtra, who is a software or a tech guy. Okay. Now, Microsoft US, they had a server in US, and this server had one bug. These guys contacted me and told that, boss, we will pay you 20 lakhs. Kindly please come to US and resolve the issue. And what I told is I will not come to US. Electronically, online, I resolved the bug. And for that, they paid me 20 lakhs. Tell me guys, what will be the place of supply? Place of supply in this particular case is definitely the US because server is in US. When it is done electronically through online means place of supply is the location of goods. And here in this particular case, the goods are located in US. So place of supply will definitely become US without any second thought. Very, very interesting and important points. That is why I gave an example. Next point. Then this point is section 13 subsection 3 guys. Yeah, and 13.2 is general rule. Let me tell you that also guys. 13.2 general rule says place of supply is location of recipient if available, and if not available, obviously place of supply is what? Location of supplier. Simple answer. If location of recipient is available, that is only the answer. If location of recipient is not available, then place of supply is what? Location of supplier. This point is an interesting point you have to observe guys. Very, very interesting and important. Clear? Good. Then this is 13.4, something what we already learned in section 12.3. Service in relation to immovable property. Place where property is located or intended to be located. And even if property is outside India only is the answer. In 12.3, we discussed one special point. What is the special point we discussed in 12.3? If property is located outside India, in 12.3 we discussed special point. If property is located outside India, place of supply is location of recipient. That special point is not there here. If property is outside India, place of supply is outside India. Then admission to event or organizing an event, both are covered. Place where event is actually held. Wherever event is held, that is only the place of supply. Simple answer. Then banking services to account holders. This line is important. Intermediary services. Intermediary is something like an agent or a broker or commission agent. Hiring of means of transport. We have taken a vehicle on rent other than aircraft and vessel, and that too up to what month? Up to 1 month. You might get one now, sir, what if it is more than 1 month? If it is more than 1 month, we will not apply this point, we'll apply general rule. Clear? What are all covered in this point? Banking services to account holders, intermediary services, hiring of means of transport up to a period of 1 month. For all these cases, place of supply is straight away location of supplier. Place of supply is straight away what's the location of supplier. Then for transportation of goods other than mail or courier. For mail or courier, general rule. So transportation of goods, what is the answer? Destination of goods. So what is important is where the goods are going, not where goods are handed over. For example, if I am sending goods from India to China, place of supply will become China. Because the destination of the goods, where the goods are going, that is important. Clear? Now see here. If service is supplied at more than one location, including India, that means I'm doing service in Singapore, Dubai, China and India, then it is deemed to be in India. And if it is in more than one state or UT, we will divide in the ratio of value of service. Simple. So for example, if you are doing in 3 states like Telangana, Karnataka and Punjab, the 3 states will divide based on value of service. Value of service, how much is done in each state. Accordingly, we will proportionately divide what is the place of supply. So ultimately, why we are spending time to discuss all this? Because place of supply is important. Because if the location of supplier, I repeat, if the location of supplier and place of supply, what is the language I used to say? If the location of supplier and place of supply both are in same state, then it is called intra-state supply. We will charge CGST and SGST. But if the location of supplier and the place of supply both are in different state, then we call it as an interstate supply and we charge IGST. That is why it is very, 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 very important to determine place of supply. And it is that the most responsibility of the supplier to determine place of supply. And only if LOS, POS both are in same state, we will charge CGST, SGST. and then different state will definitely charge IGST. No doubt about it. Next, some more points. Passenger transport service. What service? Passenger transport service. Same point what we discussed in section 12. Place where passenger embarks on the conveyance for continuous journey. Embarks means where he is getting to the flight or aircraft. Next point, same. Already we discussed. Service on board a conveyance. First scheduled point of departure of that conveyance for journey. And for order service like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Z5, location of recipient. And I'm giving classic example Netflix because Netflix is located outside India and sitting in India, we are taking service of Netflix. So place of supply will become location of recipient. And final residuary point, already I taught you, location of recipient if available, if not available, location of supplier. And finally, last point, to prevent double taxation or non-taxation or uniform application of rules, central government has power to notify some special circumstances where place of supply will be place of effective use. Where that services are effectively used, that becomes place of supply. I'm sure you would have realized by now that section 13 is very simple and easy task, provided you have got some great amount of knowledge in section 12. That is the primary reason why I spent so much of time on section 12. Because if you are perfect in section 12, section 13 is very simple and easy. That's all. Next. Section 14. Order services. Order supplier of services located in non-taxable territory. Outside India, classic example, Netflix. And non-taxable online recipient who is located in India. IGST is to be paid by the supplier located in non-taxable territory. Nothing but Netflix will pay IGST. Clear? And in case where there is some intermediary, I mean, Netflix is providing service in India through some intermediary, through some agent who is facilitating that transaction, then that Netflix will become liable to pay GST. But we will not touch that Netflix, we will not touch that intermediary in case where invoice clearly identifies the service in question and its supplier in non-taxable territory. So intermediary invoice clearly specifies that service is not given by intermediary, service is given by Netflix only. And that intermediary does not participate in the payment process. An intermediary does not authorize delivery, and the terms and conditions are not fixed by intermediary, it is fixed by the actual supplier. So in simple terms, if Netflix is supplying service to a person in India through intermediary, then intermediary is liable to pay GST. However, if intermediary clearly specifies that I am not person liable, Netflix is giving service and I am not involved in payment process, I am not authorizing delivery, I am not deciding terms and conditions, then we will not catch intermediary, we will catch Netflix. That is a story related to order services dealt by section 14. Clear, friends? And finally, summary, my dear friends. Section 10, place of supply related to goods. 11, place of supply related to goods imported or exported. 12, place of supply related to services where the location of supplier and the location of recipient both are in India. 13, location of supplier or the location of recipient. One of them is outside India. Section 14 in relation to order services. What is order full form? Online information database access and retrieval services. That is the story of this simple, beautiful, powerful concept known as place of supply. And one such topic which generally keeps coming in the exam for 4 to 8 marks, on which we can't take any chance because it is important, it is powerful, and many a times keep coming in the exam. And I strongly believe that we guys have got good clarity on this particular concept of place of supply. Are we clear, my dear friends? Please respond. Place of supply is very, very important, dealt by section 10 to section 14. And it is not related to CGST Act, it is related to IGST Act. So today, session is not yet over. We'll also talk about some small interesting topic related to the concept of TDS and TCS. I'll just take 10-15 minutes for that because that is a small topic. But why I'm so concerned about TDS, TCS, because many a times this concept of TDS, TCS is coming in exam. And I don't want to take any chance in relation to this topic of TDS, TCS, because high possibility that question will trigger in the exam. So I want your utmost cooperation to discuss this topic also. Can we proceed? Yes. Friends, Rahul, is the screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Come on, let me start. This wonderful provisions of TDS and TCS. Don't recollect income tax 192, 194A, 194B, BB, G, H, I, IA, IB, IC, J, Q, what not. So many sections are there in income tax for TDS. But here for TDS, we have got only one section, 51. For TCS, only one section, 52. Only two sections, but very important. Let me first explain you summary of this, then we'll talk detail. Concept. Sir, first, Shiva Teja. I mean, don't think that every time I'm giving my name only for example purpose. So please understand. I'm giving a service to government department. What department, guys? Government department. Any department of central government or state government. And this service contract value is 10 lakh rupees. Contract value is 10 lakhs. That means what? Government department is going to pay me 10 lakhs. But the point to be noted is that when government department is going to pay me, what they will do is that from this 10 lakhs, they will reduce 2% as TDS. 2% because CGST 1%, SGST 1%. If it is IGST, directly 2%. They'll reduce that 2% and pay only balance to Shiva Teja. And let me tell you one interesting point. This provisions of TDS under section 51 will apply only when contract value is more than 2.5 lakhs. And when I say contract value, this definitely means value before tax. Let me highlight that word very clearly, value before tax. We are not going to consider the value after tax. We are going to consider the value before tax. If the value before tax is more than 2.5 lakhs, then provisions of TDS will apply. And practically this provisions is applicable only when supply is made to a government department or a public sector undertaking or a local authority. Now this government department will do that TDS at the rate of 1% plus 1%. And this they have to pay to government by 10th of next month. And let me tell you one practical point, that is this government department will file one return known as GSTR 7. GSTR 7, through which the TDS credit will reflect to Shiva Teja. And this TCS credit, this TDS credit, once I accept it, it will come and sit in electronic cash ledger for Shiva Teja, which I can use it for the purpose of payment of my output tax. This is the basic fundamental summary of the provisions of TDS given by section 51. Something very interesting and very important. And the TDS provisions will apply only when the contract value is more than 2.5 lakhs. And the contract value is nothing but the value before tax. And the rate of TDS is 1% plus 1%, IGST directly 2%. And that TDS done by the government department or public sector undertaking or local authority, they have to pay to the government by 10th of next month. And they'll file GSTR 7. And that TDS will reflect to Shiva Teja, which Shiva Teja will accept. Then the amount will come and sit in electronic cash ledger. Clear, friends? Now, there is only one special case where no TDS will apply. What special case? Number one, when service is done from one government department to other government department, PSU to PSU, for them by TDS. They told no TDS, enjoy. Clear? Now one point I'll discuss with you. Listen. Sir, Maharashtra state government is planning to set up one guest house in Goa, government guest house. For that, they contacted one person, Mr. Ravi Teja, who is an interior designer. Come on, guys, who's Ravi Teja? Ravi Teja is an interior designer. So they contacted Ravi Teja, an interior designer, to give design for this house to be set up in Goa. And Ravi Teja is also a registered person in Goa. Now, please tell me, guys, where is the location of supplier? Location of supplier is Goa. Where is the place of supply? That is also Goa. Because for immovable property, place of supply is the place where immovable property is located or intended to be located. So location of supplier is Goa. Place of supply also is Goa. And if you observe, location of recipient is where? Maharashtra. In this particular case, they clearly clarified that there is no provision of TDS. If all three are in same state, all three are different state, then also TDS will apply. When TDS will not apply is only one case, that is location of supplier and place of supply, both are in one state. But location of recipient is in another state. In this particular case, the logic is simple because they will charge CGST and SGST, which Maharashtra fellow cannot take credit. That is why they told there is no provision of TDS. So the special case where TDS will not apply is only a case where location of supplier and the place of supply is in one state, but the location of recipient is in another state. Then the provisions of TDS will not apply. So going back to our slides. TDS, section 51. This section lists out the deductor who are mandated by the government to deduct tax at source, rate of tax, and the procedure for remittance. Who are covered here? Come on, number one. Central government, state government, department or establishment, local authority, government agency, department of central government, state government, local authority, government agency. Finally, notified person or categories of persons. Who are that notified? That also I gave you. Any authority or board or body set up by an act of parliament. Don't tell ICI, please, because you see next point. Established by the government, in which 51% or more participation by way of equity or control to carry out function is with government. In ICI, 51% is not with government. Please understand that. Next, society established by central government or state government or local authority. Finally, last one, public sector undertaking, PSU. Then, categories of person not liable to deduct tax. I already told you, one PSU to other PSU, one government department to other government department. Those cases, TDS provisions will not apply. Next point, very important points. Total value of taxable supply. Please observe that word, taxable. If supply is exempt, if supply is what, sir? Exempt, then there is no TDS concept at all. The provisions of TDS will come into picture only if supply is taxable. And that too when the contract value exceeds 2.5 lakhs exclusive of tax. In other words, individual supply could be less than 2.5. But if total value of supply under a contract is more than 2.5, TDS has to be deducted. So the contract value exceeds 2.5, then only TDS will come. In one time, one question has come where it was exactly 2.5 lakh. Student wrote TDS will apply because if it is 2.5 lakhs or more, TDS will apply. But the answer is wrong, because TDS will apply only when contract value exceeds 2.5. Exact 2.5, no TDS. Next. What's the TDS rate? 1%, 1%. IGST, 2%. Next point. Where TDS will not apply, already I discussed that with you. Location of supplier and place of supply is in a state or UT, which is different from state or UT of the recipient. See one example. State A, state A, state A. Yes. Second case you see very important. Supplier state A, place of supply state A, recipient state B. Then there is no TDS. If it is A, B, B, TDS will come. UT1, 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 TDS will come. UT1, UT2, UT2, TDS will come. But last case you see, supplier is in UT1, place of supply UT1, but recipient is UT2. In this case, TDS will not apply. So which case TDS will not apply is only a case where supplier and place of supply both are in one state, but recipient is in another state. In that particular case, TDS provisions will not apply. Next. TCS. Let me give a small example. Sir, there is one dealer who is registered with Amazon. One person, Mr. X, ordered goods for 1,000 rupees. Okay. Now, this dealer is the actual supplier. Actual supplier is not the Amazon. Actual supplier is basically the dealer. There are so many different dealers who are registered with Amazon and Flipkart, where they supply their goods through e-commerce operator. Amazon is an e-commerce operator. The Swiggy, Amazon, Zomato, Flipkart, these guys are only like aggregators. Swiggy do not prepare any food. Correct, right? But they're supplying food. Now, when 1,000 rupees is paid, X will pay 1,000 to whom? Amazon. X will not pay to dealer, of course, because X doesn't know who is the actual dealer starting itself, and it doesn't have the bank details of dealer. He will pay to Amazon. Now, when Amazon is paying to dealer, what they'll do is from 1,000, they'll reduce 0.5% plus 0.5%. And if it is IGST, straight away 1%. This is called as TCS, which stands for tax collected at source. And let me tell you this first point. TDS provision will apply only when supply is made to government departments or public sector undertaking or society established by them or local authority. And let me tell you, TCS provisions will apply only when there is an e-commerce operator involved. Read that line. TCS refers to tax which is collected by e-commerce operator when a supplier supplies taxable goods or services through its portal, and the payment for that supply is collected by e-commerce operator. If Mr. X is directly paying to the dealer, if X is what, sir? Directly paying to the dealer, then there is no question of TCS. TCS story will come into picture only when X is paying to Amazon and then Amazon is paying to dealer. Then only TCS provisions will apply. Next. Every e-commerce operator who is not an agent has been mandated to collect tax at source on the net value of supply. By net value, supply is made minus rate returns, sales minus sales return, because a lot of times we might return the goods on Amazon, Flipkart by the suppliers, where e-commerce operator collects the consideration on behalf of supplier. That is important, that consideration should be collected by e-commerce operator. If consideration is taken directly by the actual supplier, then there is no question of TCS. Next. Rate of TCS, 0.5%, effectively 1%. Aggregate value of supplies minus taxable supply return. So in simple terms, sales minus sales returns. But in exam, don't write the word sales minus sales returns. In exam, please write the word supplies made minus supplies returned. Clear? Yeah. Before I proceed, there is one small query what student is asking. Sir, please do example for LOR is different. POS, LOS is in same state. Already I gave an example, right? Already I gave an example what I just discussed with you, my dear friend. This case only, POS, LOS, POS, both are in same state. LOR is in different state. In this case, there is no question of TDS. This what is the question you asked? Yeah. One more query. Sir, does e-commerce operator required to register under GST as TCS collector and normal taxpayer? 2 registration. Yes, my dear friend Aniket. 2 registrations are mandatory. For the purpose of TCS, they will take 1 registration. As normal taxpayer, they will take 1 more registration. Same logic applies for TDS also. For the purpose of doing TDS, they take TDS registration. For the purpose of normal, they take normal registration. One more query. Sir, is e-commerce operator is supplier or Amazon? Of course, my dear friend, e-commerce operator is Amazon only because they are the intermediary what we are talking about. Actual supplier is the dealer. E-commerce operator is the Amazon or Swiggy, Zomato or something like Book My Show. Any kind of e-commerce operator. Clear, friends? But most important point is that consideration should be collected by e-commerce operator. One more question. Sir, Paytm and InstaMojo are e-commerce operator. Sir, if somebody is supplying goods through Paytm or somebody is supplying services through Paytm, then we say that Paytm is e-commerce operator because we pay to Paytm, then Paytm pays to actual supplier. Then this TCS will come into picture. So for TCS, there are 2 important conditions. Number 1, e-commerce operator is supplying some goods or services belonging to somebody, and e-commerce operator is taking consideration from the customer and then giving to actual supplier. Then only TCS will come. This point should you have to observe. I hope your question is answered. Yes. Next. Sir, there are some special points given by section 9.5. In these cases, no provisions of TCS. What are those cases is? Number 1, service of transportation of passenger by way of radio taxi, Ola, Uber, motor cab, maxi cab, motorcycle. Motorcycle example, Rapido. So in these cases, there is no question of TCS. That means what? When we pay to Uber, Uber will pay to driver without TCS. Second, services of accommodation in hotel, guest house, club, campsite, except when person supplying service through e-commerce operator is liable for registration. Let me give a small example for this to understand better. Sir, Shiva Teja opened an app, Make My Trip. Now, who is the e-commerce operator? Of course, Make My Trip. And I opened the app and I booked accommodation in Taj, whose turnover is 60 lakhs and who is a registered person. Clear? Yeah. In this particular case, who is liable to pay GST is nothing but Hotel Taj. But if Hotel Taj turnover is only 9 lakh rupees, an unregistered person, then Make My Trip, in other words, e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST. So who is liable to pay GST is not Taj Hotel. Who is liable to pay GST is the e-commerce operator. So if a hotel is liable to be registered, then hotel is liable to pay GST. If hotel is not liable to be registered, then e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST. This point you have to observe very, very clearly, that if hotel is liable to be registered, hotel is liable to pay GST. If hotel is not liable to be registered, then e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST. So what was the first point we discussed? Transportation of passenger, Ola, Uber and all. Second, accommodation in hotel. Finally, housekeeping service. Practical example, we have got somebody like urban company where we book home cleaning, house cleaning, or something like an haircut and all. Housekeeping, plumbing, carpentry and all, except where person supplying service is liable for registration. Clear, friends? Then, what is the time limit for a deposit of TDS and TCS? It should be deposited by 10th of next month. And the amount collected by e-commerce operator 10th of next month. And let me tell you, in case of TDS, person will file GSTR 7. Person means who has done TDS. TCS, who has collected that TCS, he will file GSTR 8. And same logic, that TCS will reflect as TCS credit, which supplier will accept. Once accepted, that amount will go and sit in electronic cash ledger. That is the story of this beautiful concept of TDS, TCS, which I wanted to spend some little time for a simple fact and reason that high possibility that question may trigger in the exam for 4 to 8 marks. And this topic of TDS, TCS is something very important where there is a high possibility that question will trigger in the exam where I can't take any chance. That is why I spent so much of time on this. Clear, my dear friends? Everybody? That's it. Thank you so much. That's the story of discussion for today with respect to TDS and TCS and with respect to place of supply. So one small announcement. Rahul, I'll take the lead to announce that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So guys, next session tomorrow, we'll talk about a beautiful topic known as input tax credit, which I'm sure everybody knows that it is very, 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 very important because input tax credit will come in exam for minimum 10 marks. High possibility 12 to 14 marks also can come. So tomorrow entire time, I wish to spend time on input tax credit only. For that reason, what we decided to do is that topics like assessment, audit, and one more small topic like appeals and revision, we'll give you recorded videos and recorded lecture. We'll share the link in the groups with you so that you guys can watch that video at your convenient free time. So I want to spend more time on those topics which are exclusively very, very important for your exam where there is a high weightage. So those small topics like appeals, revision, assessment, audit, which may come in exam for 2 to 4 marks, which may come, but still I'll share that particular videos to you as we already promised with you guys. But tomorrow, full session, we'll spend time on input tax credit. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And to add on to this, I would like request all my colleagues to try as much as if you are able to attend it attend live sessions. Although recordings will be provided, there is no doubt about that. But I would request all the students to please attend the live session because sir has been taking out his time and also investing his time in this. So agar recording is now to we would have given you the YouTube link directly, So that is what I feel is I would want all the students to please attend the live session as far as possible because you can get all the queries resolved then and there itself rather than waiting for sir to reply once he gets time. So that is my request to all the students. So yes, thank you once again, sir. And
thank you very much.
With the kind of energy that you are showing at the end of the day itself, this is quite remarkable. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. At 7:30 with input tax credit. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yes. Okay. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Right.